joy when our life is chaos. 2020 has proved to be one of the most awkward, challenging for most of us, work and personally. Admittedly, work and our personal lives have not only intersected but crashed together. Work is an essential component for our well being and to provide for ourselves interpersonally as well as those closest to us interpersonally. So, how do we re energize, rediscover, infuse joy back into ourselves and our work environment when it feels as though our life has become a circus of new challenges? Finding the hidden tools within yourself and the environment around you is the key to growing forward rather than falling backwards. With most of our lives spent working to provide ourselves and others, implementing effectiveness and renewed joy is essential. After this session, participants will be able to identify elements that still our joy, replace energy and spirit drainers with positive replacement, understand paradigm shifts, corrective thinking, and how to strengthen your mind, connect the role of the mind and the body in replacing negatives with positives, apply 7 keys to self empowerment, identify and gift yourself by unearthing your personal joy. And I want to welcome Cynthia and thank you so much for joining us. And I'm looking forward to hearing you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here. Just to double check, can you guys see my PowerPoint? Is it visible to you? Awesome. Thank you very much. I always like that verification to make sure I'm not just looking at something myself. I'm thrilled to be speaking for SHRM again, and thank you so much to Diana and her hardworking staff for putting this together and organizing it. I personally miss being face to face with people, uh, up on the stage or in the crowd, interacting and connecting and getting that nonverbal good vibes and zhuzh. As I'm looking out on almost 70 participants, and I'm scrolling through, we are doing one of the things I'm going to talk about today, and that's working at the same time that we are trying to grow and learn during this process. So when Diana came to me and said, hey, let's infuse along with the theme that Skip was sharing today, how can we balance and re-energize ourselves since we've had a really, really weird last year? So I welcome you and thank you for welcoming me as we work through in the next hour how to infuse joy back into our lives. And I want to have a caveat there. It's not just about work, it's also about our personal life because the two really are a domino effect with one another. You're married to your job in the sense that you probably spend more time with your coworkers or on Zoom now than you do with your own spouses and your kids. But the two definitely affect each other. So, how can we infuse that joy back into ourselves, which will affect the other relationships that we have? So, let's see here. Dancing the way I was hoping they would, but we can get this. So, one of the big things that's impacted us in the last year is obviously COVID. And so, I want to talk about how those stressors, particularly COVID, has affected us and our work environment and how that's really changed. I know it's probably affected you the way it's affected me. I'm a full time professor at COS, and I also run 7 different departments. I'm also a motivational speaker, and I'm also a therapist, and I see clients 2 nights a week. So I've gone from live interaction and working with this connectivity to working behind a computer screen and really losing a lot of the essence of human connection. And I've discovered, and maybe you have too, that the more time I spend with myself, I annoy myself probably as much as I annoy other people. And so, with all these different infusions of life trickling down and affecting us, we really have lost part of our joy. So, I made a little joke about COVID, coming into that boat and Elvis getting up and rocking it, but really it could be any stressor in our life. So, as we walk away, and in particular today, looking at how COVID has affected us, I want you to replace that term COVID when you find stressors in your life and you find your joy being depleted with anything that is stripping you of that element of joy that you want to infuse in your own world. Now, obviously, we know, and you've heard this throughout the day, and maybe some of the seminars that you've taken the last 2 days, that COVID causes additional, and I'm using the word additional stress here. And so I'm not going to read you all of these. I'd be happy to share these slides with you. And God bless you, Brenda. I saw that. I couldn't be there to hear it, but I saw it, sister. So she just sneezed. So I was giving her a little blessing there. But COVID has increased the stressors that we have in our life. So if You, like me, and listen, none of us walk on water. None of us are named Jesus. So we all are subjected to human emotions and feeling more depleted at times and other times, and certainly in the last year based on research. But COVID has brought a unique situation to people psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. And we've seen in the research, the listing of things I have in front of you, there's an increased anxiety level in people. What's so interesting, and you may not have known this before, or you may have, but antidepressants are the number one drug prescribed in the United States. You may or may not have known this, that there's been a 3 times rate of prescription in the last year alone of antidepressants, particularly in females, directly correlated to COVID related stressors. Why? Because more women are out of the workforce or working from home, but they're also juggling being uh, parents, teachers, workers, spouses, et cetera, also added increase on males as well who are now staying home and having to teach and work, et cetera, et cetera. And many of us are facing not only these things up here, but isolation. It feels very strange to work behind a computer screen and not really connect with people. And we're going to look at some very specific things that COVID has done. So you might have seen things in the last year, because did we all think it was just going to be 2 weeks? We thought it was going to be 2 weeks last March. I don't know about you, but my kids that are over 21 came over. We sat around, played cards, and took rum shots for every night for a few weeks, thinking, God, this is going to be fun, more family time, drinking and eating a little bit, stuff we normally don't do. And then the 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and et cetera, et cetera. And then the scare and the fear of really what our life was going to look like for quite some time. So we have that increased isolation. So you might have seen changes in your energy level, your desires. Guys and gals, my friends, I don't know about you, but if you're connecting with your friends, we are now in a rut. A lot of people are saying, I like my couch. I don't want to get off the couch. I want to stay at home and just do my minimalistic work behind my computer screens, because we're creating patterns and habits. We've lost that passion, that energy. So our interests have changed, right? So you may see shifting in sleeping patterns or nightmares, psychological, physical problems that are listed there. There has been a 5 time increase in alcohol and purchasing of alcohol in the last year. So much so now that we see apps, right, that are bringing alcohol straight to your door. So we see an increase, and these are all signs of stressors in tobacco, alcohol, and other substances. And while I'm looking at this, I added this in here because I know a lot of you are also feeling the same stressors. Now, if we go back really quickly, it looks at here's the stressors that COVID has caused you psychologically and physiologically, but I'm adding people in your own home. How sick are we of some of the people that we love the most? And I make a hypothesis. I think we're going to see a huge increase, if you're a stock market player, a huge increase in therapy, in couples counseling and coaching, and maybe even, unfortunately, in divorces. Because what's happening is we are isolating with people in our own homes. So while I joke about it, we have a lessened or lower tolerance for the ones that we spend the most time with, right? That's also affecting us psychologically and emotionally and spiritually as well, because we can't go out and connect. So we have this feeling of I'm isolated. I don't have as much joy as I used to have. So you're like me, right? We're being affected by all these things. And I make this joke, right? Because we have this increase of all these things. But I go to work on Monday with this renewed sense of happiness. But I'm so overwhelmed with everything that's going on that here's me Tuesday by 5. Well, it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And here's me Friday by 9, right? Not only do I have the big glass of wine, but I've also added the Jack Daniels and the cigar. So even though I jest a little bit, how many of you are feeling affected the way I am? Because we're all humans, we are having that lack of joy that we once could go out and get in a multifaceted dimension through our friends or our family or through social events or even work events. And so we need to anchor within ourselves and find that joy. Here's the upside of this as we're talking about this today. Once you learn the tricks and techniques that we're going to talk about today, or re-add them into the recipe of your life, I hope you anchor yourself in them again, or in a newfound way. Why? Because, my friends, it may not be COVID 2 years from now, but it's going to be something else in our life. And so when we allow the external factors in our world to control the internal joy, we lose out on growing as a human being. because we are giving that power to something else. And so we're going to look at some ways that we can grow through stressors. Now, I really want to stress this to you, and I want you to read this statement. Battle fatigue is something we all experience when we live an engaged life. Now, read that again and say that to yourself in your head. This is something we all experience when we live an engaged life. We have battle fatigue. You are a victim of battle fatigue right now because you live an engaged life and you are being hit hard with stressors. So maybe it's your work, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your marriage, maybe you're worried about your elderly parents, maybe you've had COVID, maybe you have the vaccine or you don't know if you should get the vaccine, maybe the politics of the world are stressors. We all have battle fatigue. That is a natural joy sucker. You're not alone. Interesting statistic here. Prior to COVID, 20%, look at the cursor there, 20% of people in the United States work from home. 20%. We've had a 51% increase since COVID hit. 71% of our population in the United States is working from home. 71%. Here's an even more interesting statistic. When we are allowed in doses to go back, about 54% say they would still choose to stay at home, right? Now, that's a pro and it's a con. We found ease in that. We found a sense of autonomy and independence, a little bit more flexibility. But again, with that comes a lack of human connection and relationships that also fed that interpersonal side and that intrapersonal side. So what will that do long term to us psychologically and emotionally? Sure, it feels good to stay home. Listen, people, I'm going to be honest with you right now, right? I did my hair today just for you. I'm not sure I shaved my armpits because you're not seeing that, right? I'm business on the top, but if I got to be honest, and if you're looking, I'm a party on the bottom. I've got my gym pants on. Why? Because my jeans don't fit for one right now, and I can't button them, right? And they're more comfy. So it's great to say, gosh, I have this great sense of independence being at home. But what is that going to do to our joy connecting with other human beings? A lot of us are diving in to social media to find that stress reliever. So I'm going to give you some very interesting statistics as we've all used that as a way to almost emerge into joy. Now, immediately last March when COVID hit, social media consumption in the United States went up 32%. Immediately. Globally, it went up 44% just in the month of March last year. But now, what is the current statistics? What are you doing with your downtime? Are you engaging in TikTok and Instagram and the reels? I get it, people. I'm seeing a lot of smiles and a lot of laughs, right? Facebook use is up nearly 30% since last March with a 50% increase in messaging. TikTok is the most downloaded app and Instagram is up 40%. So what we're doing is instead of connecting with people, we are connecting into social media. There's no judgment here. I'm letting you know what we are doing and what we might be headed to even more if we don't infuse ourselves into finding other outlets of joy. It is what it is. So we sit at home and we're TikToking or we're on social media and we're looking at other people's pages and we're probably doing this to them. We're sticking our tongue out and we're giving them the neener, because I want you to remember something very crucial about social media. You are seeing the frosting on the cake. You are not seeing the cake being made or the batter. Now, if any of you are friends with me on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, I encourage you to hit me up. I'll give you my addresses at the end here. Yesterday, I did a post. This is my hair after about 30 minutes of working on it. What I posted was my hair fresh out of the shower, which looks like a cat has a hairball on the very top of my head. It's fine, it's frizzy, and it looks like a chia pet, right? So I posted, here's the reality and here's the after, right? We're not getting that reality on social media, and it's literally draining some of the joy of what is to who we are. So we find this increased stress and all those symptoms that I showed you a few slides back. So ask yourself, has my joy, what really anchors me and what makes me happy, been depleted? Well, if you're like 75 to 85% of Americans based on research right now, the answer is a big fat chocolate chip cookie yes, right? My joy has been depleted. I'm going to show you why and what you can do as we move through the seminar today. So do some of you wish you had this in your kitchen? And I say kitchen because our home now is our work office. And this was an actual picture from the early 60s where they had a beer draft fountain in an organization. Wouldn't that be nice when we're stressed out to just walk into our kitchen and have one of those? But we don't. And what's happening to us is we're using other outlets to fill ourselves instead of finding healthy ways to replenish that joy in our world, right? Now, here's something interesting. And as I'm watching many of you, and I'm scrolling through right now, seeing some of the people, in 2018, the average American worked 38.7 hours per week. Okay, that seems about fair, right? 40-hour work week. We're a little under. That's an average, the bell-shaped curve. And we worked about 48.6 weeks per year. Now, hold on to your chonies, people, because get ready for this. What has COVID done to our stress levels and to our depletion of joy in terms of our work? Right now, we are working on an average of 12 hours per day. You're living it, you're breathing it. You're on your emails on your phone, you're answering emails in between your social media, you're not putting your phone down, you're constantly on Zoom, you're attending meetings. We are working more hours than we've ever worked before during this very chaotic and hectic time. Here's a rhetorical question. Do you think that sucks joy from your world? Absolutely. We're not sitting playing game night. We don't stop the clock at 8 hours and then spend the rest with our family, right? Or enjoying some personal Calgon take me away in the tub time. We are continuing to work because it's easy access. I don't know about you, but I've never worked more in my life. Never. I have massive, massive burnout. I am teaching 8 classes. I have almost 400 students. I'm managing over 150 employees. I'm seeing clients 2 nights a week, and I'm doing it to myself. It's self-imposed. Now, that doesn't mean the access isn't there, but we're not setting appropriate boundaries in some way to replenish that joy. Here's an example. JP Morgan, a huge organization. They have over a quarter million employees. 70% of those 250,000 employees are working remote. 70%. Here's something interesting though. Productivity has gone up for that organization. Of course it has, because more people are working more hours from home because they have the technological access to do so. So we're spending a lot of time doing more for organizations, which is great. And that's awesome. You're getting your job done and then some. But I want you to quietly ask yourself in the quiet moment of your mind, is that stripping some of the joy from my own interpersonal relationships and my own health and wealth and sanity? Okay, so there's pros and cons. So working more from home, that comes with a price. At the end of 2020, which was only about 4 months ago, 45% of employees in the United States said they were burned out. 45%, so about half. That's a lot. So we've got 75 people right now. That means about 40 of you almost are burned out of your job because you've been working so much, even though it's from home in your sweats or your PJs or on your third cup of coffee. You're doing more now than you've ever done before. It's a mental toll on you. It's a juggling of your personal and your professional life. And there's a lack of communication that we're not getting with our employees or our bosses or organization that we used to get. And that's extra added stress. I'm not blaming any one person anywhere, right? We are a victim of our circumstances, but, we also have control, or more so than we really realize. And that's what we're going to look at today. So what is the bottom line? The bottom line is each and every single one of us here today is experiencing that level of stress, and we are less joyful than we were a year ago. Things are going to get better, my friends. Things are going to open up, but it's incumbent upon us and us alone to bring that joy back into our job and to find it for ourselves intrapersonally. So let's start anew, starting today, right? If you're like me, and you've probably done this a million times, especially ladies, sometimes men too, right? You know, you get to Friday and you go, oh, it's the weekend. I'm going to eat that extra this, or I'm going to drink that extra that. And then I'll start on Monday eating healthy or working out more. And then you blow it by Tuesday, go, I'll just wait the rest of the week. And then I'll start again next Monday. When you do that over and over again, we start creating habits, right, that we begin to live by and through. And so I say this, I never make a New Year's resolution, ever, never, never. And here's why. Because any day I want to start anew is the right day. It doesn't have to be a designated day. It doesn't have to be a Friday or a Monday. So let's start turning the script today. How can we start infusing more joy? Because I know when we talked about some of those stressors, or you looked at what I had on the PowerPoint, you fell into one, some, or all of the categories. And by the way, if you fell into all of them, hit me up at the end. And I usually have Thursday nights open from 7 to 7:30 for new clients, right? So let's start a new chapter and turn the page starting today. What are some things that steal your joy? Joy suckers. Let's identify them, because sometimes we don't stop and say, what is stealing my joy? We just feel like I'm stressed out and burned out. What can I do? And we put band-aids on it. First and foremost, the negative stories that you tell yourself, your mind talk. Your mind controls your body. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more times. And I'll use this example every single time in a seminar, right? If I ask you to pick up something off your desk like a pin and hold it up and then shake it, right? And I say, what part of your body shook that pin? You say, my hand shook the pin. And I say, wrong, my friend. Your brain shook the pin, because your brain has to tell your hand to do something within nanoseconds. The mind controls the body. So there's something called ophalizing by Harpel and Ellis. It's a real term in psychology, and that is this. We tell our mind the negative stories, and then we see them. And when we visualize them, they become a real movie. They become a This Is Us. They become a million little things in our mind, and we think they are real. And then we play them over and over again, and they become more real because we tell ourselves they are. So what kind of mind talk do you have? Is it more negative than positive? I challenge you to do something interesting for just 24 hours. Every time you have a negative self-talk, tally it. And then every time you have a positive self-talk, tally it. Guess what, my friends? If you're like most people, you probably have more negative self-talk tallies at the end of a 24-hour period than positive ones. Stop the awfulizing. When you catch yourself, stop it and then repeat something positive in its place 3 times. This is an actual methodology that works. And it is proven in research, when we have a negative self-talk, you replace it with 3 positive self-talks. So instead of, CJ, I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. It's, oh God, I kind of blew that, but damn, I'm good, because next time I'm going to do it right. Replacing negative with positive and stopping the negative stories. Okay, here's a very interesting, good to know.
You find out what you should have done earlier, but you just didn't. What we literally do not think about is some processes can happen or not. So, this is your as you think in your heart, so are you. And if you were to think thoughts is like worrying without moving very much, your fear. That fear comes out with this is hyphenated. You put it the other side, if you develop understanding and understanding and not awareness in your relationship, things are going to work out. Your body's acting like when you put the momentum, start accelerating, become creative. Right? We become what we're thinking of. If you think thoughts of happy, happy, wealthy, you become happy, happy, wealthy. Even in the physical world, as a person that's more that heart, so hard, and become what we're thinking of. How do we teach this to be
Wow, powerful stuff. It is the secret of life.
You couldn't really hear it. The sound was really distorted.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that with me. Basically, he's saying what we think we become. And that is very true. So it's reinforcing what I'm saying. I hope the next video that I have is more clear. So, and I appreciate that, Brenda. The bottom line about that is our intrapersonal self, the way we see and feel about ourselves, affects our interpersonal relationships. It's not the reverse. It's not what other people give to us, make us feel good or bad. It's who we are as a person first that affects the relationship that we have with other people. Think of this logically, my friends. Who wants to hang out with a negative Nancy? Somebody that's bitching and complaining and negative and nasty and gossiping all the time. Not most of us, because they are anchored to our person. So when we feed ourselves healthy, wealthy, good talk and good thoughts, we become this energy that draws good people into our lives. But when we are negative ourselves, that draws energy from negative people. So when we take care of the intrapersonal, we feed our interpersonal relationships, right? I've said this before and I'll say this again. When you change your negative story, you change your life. when we stop being the victim, when we stop saying, I wish this wouldn't have happened to me, or this shouldn't have happened, or this did happen, or it should be this way. Stop shoulding. Stop being a shoulder. It is what it is. There's a million things and a million stories I could tell you about my life, and you're like, wow, that blows my mind. How did that happen to you? This motivational speaker, this professor of communication and psychology, this person that seems to be so uplifting, because I don't live in the past. I live in the is. What is, and I don't should, because I cannot change it. I can grow from it, or I can fall back into it. And I love this cartoon. It says, you tested positive for being negative. Ouch, right? And that is completely incumbent upon our actions and choices. I want to share something with you that you may have never heard about. It's called a belief triangle. And I've been lecturing on it for 25 years. It's fascinating. It's a triangle. The base of the triangle is your belief system. How you believe about yourself or the world around you affects the choices that you make. And those choices that you make affect your experiences. And then the experiences that you make also affect your beliefs, and it becomes a perpetuating cycle. So think of it this way, and I'll give you a very basic example. If you believe you're bad at math, I just hate math, I don't like number crunching, it's really hard, so I just have somebody else do it, right? Or I have my accountant take it over. I have my husband balance the checkbook. I'm just not good at math. I had a bad experience in 5th grade, right? So then you choose to avoid it. And then your experience every time you do it, or it's in your face, becomes one of anxiety or stress or nervousness, or you give it to somebody else instead of building up your own confidence. And then that reinforces your belief. See, I'm not good at math. Wow, analogize that, my friends, to something bigger. The relationships that you have at work, your marriages, the connections with your kids, right? The beliefs you have affect the choices you make and the experiences you have. And it's a repeating cycle. So that foundation of who you are comes from the internal belief of who you are as a person. The second thing that is a joy sucker, the F word, and I'm not talking about the one that we shouldn't say, the living habit of fear. I have fears in me of things I don't want to do. I'm missing out. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not capable enough. That is your own boundary or own barrier. Now, I want to talk about the F word for just a moment because it's crucial to us. Did you know we're only born with 2 natural fears? Only 2 natural fears. All the other fears we have in our lives, we've learned. Those 2 fears are the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. And we are born with them as infants. But notice what infants do. They're amazingly resilient human beings. If any of you are snowboarders or skiers like I am, you put a little 2-year-old on a snowboard and a 40-year-old on a snowboard, both snowboarding for the first time. And within 20 minutes, that 2-year-old is going down the bunny hill with no hands, like, whee! That 40-year-old is pizza plowing all the way down, scared as crap because they're thinking, what if I fall? Oh my God, then it means time off work. What's going to happen to my insurance? And what if I break my neck? They live and bathe in that fear. But infants learn to overcome the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling very, very young. And the rest of the world, they're taught the fear by living in a society of what culture tells them that we should fear. So it's interesting to note, really and truly, the only 2 fears we learn. Now, I'm going to share a few things here that hopefully are very interesting to you. Bill Gates failed at his first business, and his first business that you probably never knew about was called Trafodata, and it read traffic tapes. Failed. Epic failure cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was 4 years old. They thought he was mentally challenged, but he went on to be one of our world's greatest geniuses. Jim Carrey, the comedian who we all know and love and probably have seen him a million times in movies, used to be homeless and his family lived in a van. Benjamin Franklin only went to school until he was 10 years old. This is the man that invented the lightning rod and bifocals. Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Air, is dyslexic, but used his personality to pursue and prevail. Stephen King, his first book that he wrote, was rejected 30 times by publishers, and he threw it in the trash out of frustration and anxiety. And his wife went and got it from the trash and said, no, you will not give up. You will forge ahead. This is good. And finally, a publishing company picked it up, and it sold 350 million copies, right? And Jay-Z, everybody knows who Jay-Z is, right? Couldn't get signed to any record label, so he started his own because he knew he was good. And he started Rockefeller record labels, and now he's worth $500 million. These people all have obstacles and barriers just like we did, but they didn't give in to the fear, right? They knew they had potential. So here's the deal about fear. It's learned. Ask yourself, what joy is being taken from my life because I live in that fear. I bathe in that fear. What's the third thing that steals our joy? When we don't celebrate even small celebrations. Small things deserve celebration. We usually wait for the big ones and then we have a party. But, my friends, every time we celebrate, our mind releases dopamine and serotonin, and that increases our energy, increases our mood, and creates joy. So when you have a small celebration, something that to you is maybe insurmountable, or maybe something that you did that you didn't think you could do, celebrate that and take the time to do that. Here's a really silly example, but I'll share it with you because my life is just as wacky and weird as yours is, right? I didn't travel much as a young child because my father was a traveling chemical salesperson. He sold egg chemicals. And so when he got home after 2 weeks of working anywhere between San Francisco and LA, he didn't want to go anywhere. So to us, if we went to a vacation, right? And we went once a year to Santa Cruz, that was usually where we went, or Avila. Well, that was a big trip, but we didn't travel. And so I grew up having a fear of traveling. When I was growing up, here I am 50 years old. When I was growing up, we didn't have MapQuest and we didn't have phones to take us. We had an old-fashioned map. I didn't know how to get to A to Z because I was never taught it. So in college, when I had this independence, I was scared to travel. And so when I finally met the love of my life, who I'm still married to today, I didn't want to be apart from him the first summer we met because we were madly, passionately in love. And he said, I got to go work in Oregon for the summer, welding on this big bridge. He said, come stay with me in Oregon for a week. I thought, holy crap, how can I get to Oregon? I'm probably going to end up in Mexico. Not even closely related to each other, people. But that was my fear because I never traveled. So this is a true story. Got in the car, filled up my tank of gas, got my map up, drove 12 hours from where I lived in Fresno, only stopped once for gas, right? Station, and got to Oregon, never even stopped to pee or go to the restroom because I was so afraid of getting lost and off that little map. But when I got to Oregon, it was the biggest sense of relief and joy and pride that, wow, look at what I did. A small, silly example, but I celebrated it. And now I'm this person that never, somebody says, you want to go here? Yes, I do. May not know how to get there, but I'm up for it anytime, all the time. So here's what research says. Do 2 times a year something you've never done before and celebrate that. Because when we do something new, it creates new grooves in our brain. Our brain is like a record. If you guys are not old enough to know what a record is, okay? But it's like a flash drive. And every time Diana looks at me and laughs, go Diana, we get it, right? Every time you do something new that brings you joy and a new experience, it creates a new groove in your brain. When that then groove is recalled and memories are provoked, it creates sights and sounds and smells, and serotonin and dopamine is created. New ways of finding joy. Small things, big things, celebrate them. They deserve it. Okay? Hoping you can hear this one. If not, I will translate.
No, you can't hear it.
Sounds like dog barking.
Yeah, it's not.
You have to share sound. Share sound when you share your screen.
Thank you. I needed to do that and it didn't. And by the way, that wasn't my dog. I don't know whose dog is barking, but that's a dog. Okay. So basically, that is reinforcing that our brain is 98% created by habit. Think about that in terms of not just fear, but also what we talked about in terms of celebration. When you get outside of your own habit, outside of your own routine, the brain can celebrate. I use this analogy and I'll use it a million times, people. It's why I don't take baths. I have OCD. We all have our issues. It's probably why I went into therapy. a small level of OCD, not anything major, but I don't like to take baths because when you sit in a bathtub, what do? You sit in your own dirt. That kind of bothers me from a philosophical and a physical aspect, right? You sit in the tub, and the longer you sit in the tub, the more dirt comes off of you, and then you surround yourself in the dirt. It's a great analogy for habit, right? The longer you sit in water, the colder the water gets and the more wrinkled your skin is. It's the same thing in life. The longer you sit in a habit, you don't have cause to celebrate new adventures, new ways of doing things, new routes. Take a new way of going to work. How many of you have ever driven over and over and over again to work? Sometimes so many times that you get in your car and before you know it, you're working like, holy crap, how did I get here? Right? Because it's like autopilot. Take a new route. Pick up a person and take them to work. Go to a different coffee shop. It's creating new grooves in the brain, new serotonin, new dopamine, new joy is being celebrated. Challenge yourself to get outside of the box. Okay, here's number 4. I live and die by this, and some of you in the seminar today are personal friends of mine. And if you're a friend of mine that made it on my friend list at 50 years old, it's because you're a good person, right? No spirit suckers. Look at your tribe. What vibe are they giving you? Are they depleting your energy? Are they anchoring you? Are they more negative than positive? Now listen, as a certified relationship specialist, I cannot tell people whether a person in your life should stay or go. Only you can decide that. But here's what I do know to be true. It really is an interpersonal scale. If you're gaining more than is being taken away, it's probably a very healthy and good relationship. And gaining that could be spiritual, psychological, emotional, physical. It doesn't fall all into one category. But if you find certain people in your life, the scales are tilted in the other direction where it's 98% of them is sucking away your joy and your energy because you're constantly giving to them, or you're constantly the one that has to organize or create or connect with them, right? Ask yourself, is that a person that's feeding my spirit? Are they feeding the joy in my life? And sometimes we have to make very hard decisions, even with family members, right? Here's one thing I also want to reinforce to you. Other people's emergencies are not your issues. Other people's emergencies are not your issues. Sometimes we work so hard at meeting other people's needs that we don't even meet our own. Wow, stop and check yourself. How are you feeding yourself? Are you feeding other people more? So look around and maybe thin out your tribe a little bit, or be very candid with the people that you love and say, hey, I love our relationship. It means a lot to me, but I need a little bit more energy and joy from what we have together. How can we do that? Right? Notice how I ended that. How can we do that? I anchored that in a connection between two people asking the other person to invest that in the relationship that you have together, right? Find spirit igniters. That's what this stands for here. Instead, find spirit igniters. Every relationship in your life is like a bank account. And I want you to think about this as a kind of analogy, right? The more you put into a bank that you have to take out, right, that account is going to be open. But the more you take out when there's nothing being put into the account, eventually that account's going to be closed. It's the same thing with relationships. You've got to put in joy to get joy out. So I like this just because it says, know your tribe. One good thing about being in bad situations, it makes picking out the fake friends really easy, right? So ask yourself, who surrounds me? I'm going to say something to you, and I really want you to think about this. Not everybody that's riding with you is for you. It's not the same thing. Let me say that again. Not everybody that's riding with you is for you. Choose the people that are for you, not just riding with you. Okay. Some people may be laughing with you, but also talking about you, right? So be picky, because these are the people that need to bring you joy. It's better to have a smaller circle that is quality over quantity. And we know that, but what are you doing to make sure you're creating those boundaries? Now, here's something. Who do you ever surround yourself with? Don't give away too much of yourself. I love this. It says, if you're a giver, remember to learn your limits. If you're a giver, remember to learn your limits, because the takers don't have any. Wow, really repeat that to yourself. It is okay to say no. And you can say no with love and respect. You don't have to say it rude, like a hell no, right? It could be, I'd really like to, but right now the answer has to be no, but maybe next time, right? It opens it up to possibilities, but it also creates boundaries for you. And it doesn't allow your joy to be depleted. And I love this, okay? Find yourself in the first row. Look at this picture here, okay? You can choose to live in the front row or the third row. Look at the front row ladies. They're having a ball. They're having the wind blowing up their skirts. Great time. Look at the difference of the people in the third row on the same ride. Oh my God, somebody needs to give them a shot, right? They look like they're miserable. Da, 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 da. They're choosing to live in the front row and have fun, right? Laughter is contagious. Live in the front row with people around you, okay? I ask you of this. Here's number 5, joy sucker. What kind of finder are you? If you focus on results, you will never change. But if you focus on change, you will get results. Read that again. Wow, that's hugely impactful. If you focus on results, you will never change. But if you focus on change, you'll get the results. So let's use a very simple analogy. We all have COVID 5, 10, 15. Come on now. Our jeans are hard to buckle, right? Or button, okay? So if you're one of those people that says, okay, I'm going to get back on it. The gyms are opening up now. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to do a little bit more than I've done before in the last year. If you focus, right, on the results, I want to look like this. You will never change. But if you focus on small daily changes, eventually you'll get the results. How you view the world is your choice. The power of choice is the most powerful thing you have. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody, not one person. There's not anything that you can tell me that you can do or should do or somebody else has control over you. You have that power of choice. And I've had people tell me, okay, CJ, what about God? Right? He's the ultimate power. If you believe in a higher power, no matter what it is or who it is, you gave that thing or that person that power, right? So you still have that power of choice over you. Here, come on. I love this. People who wonder whether the glass is half empty or half full are missing the point. The glass is refillable. Again, it's how we choose to look at something. It doesn't matter whether the glass is half full or half empty. Big deal. The point is the glass is refillable. You can always pour more into yourself, into your work, into your team, into your marriage, into other people, right? It's refillable. And if you pour some of the glass out because there's some things you need to let go of, you can fill it with other people, places, or things. So in one recent study, let's look at some good news. 38% of Americans say they are happier now with their job now than they were before COVID. Now notice what I said, their job, because they're challenging themselves in new ways. Didn't you feel a little bit intimidated in the beginning when Zoom first started? I know I did. How do I do this? What's going to happen here? What do I do this? What do I hit here? How's it going? And now I feel like it's not a big deal, right? It's something I've learned and I celebrate because I've added something else to my repertoire. So 38% of Americans are saying, hey, I'm happier now with my job because I've challenged myself in a new way. So people, when we go back to our job face-to-face in the next month, 2, 6 months, whatever it is, continue the challenges to bring you joy. Don't stop doing new things. You were forced to do it, but when we're not forced, what happens? We get into a rut. And a rut is nothing more than a grave with the ends kicked out. Let me say that again. A rut is nothing more than a grave with the ends kicked out. So challenge yourself to do new things like you're doing now or you've been doing to bring you new joy. Here's some more happy news. Despite COVID-19, 73 out of 100 people say they are happy with their jobs. But pre-COVID, 71 out of 100 reported happy. So we're up 2 people. Whoop, whoop. That's cause for celebration. Why is that? The reality is this. We're challenging ourselves even though we're at home, and that brings us joy. That's good news, right? This is the truth, my friends. Perspective is everything. So much of our happiness depends how we choose to look at the world. And look at these 2 people. They're on the same bus. One is choosing to sit on the wrong side and look at it bleakly, drearily, darkly. The other one is looking to see adventure and new sights. I want you to see this visual. Wow, I share this with my students. This is a mind blow. If you're not looking at your computer screen, look at this right now, okay? Perception is everything. It's the same image, but it depends how it's looked at and the angle that it's viewed from, right? We are this. How we look at everything is completely our power of choice, and nobody can take that power away from us. So, what are the things that steal our joy that we can't control? Are you falling victim to some of these things? Let's ask ourselves. You cannot control what other people say, do, or think. And really, and I love you, and you've heard this before, it ain't none of your business, right? What other people say, do, or think is none of your business. What you say or do or think is 100% your business, and you need to own that. But we can't control other people. And when we let that go and we really live that, not just say that, we say it because it sounds good to say it. But when you really live it and we let it go, it is so freeing to know that other people's issues aren't our emergencies. But what I do, I own. And if I blow it, I'll own it. And if I did it right, I'm going to celebrate it. But what you say or do or think about me really isn't about me. I know who I am, and anchor yourself in that own intrapersonal joy, right? We can't control natural disasters. You can't control COVID. You can't control the vaccines. You don't know what's going to happen in politics. We can't control those. Let those go. Do the best you can with what you're given. Again, don't should it away. Is it? It is what it is. You can't control the economy, gas prices, traffic, war, famine. You get the point. These are bigger than you. But what you can control is how you choose to respond to it. Here's some other things that are a little closer to home. You can't control who is in your family. Gosh, guys, so many times in my coaching with people, I have a lot of people that aren't connected to their family. And some people go, what? Oh my gosh, how can they not have a relationship with their sister? That's criminal. Is it? If they're not healthy and they're not in a spot where they can provide healthy and functional relationships or interactions with that other person, and they want to live in a world of joy, right? Maybe they need a timeout or a break or boundaries or barriers. That is a big ass okay, right? Because we want to fill our lives with people that give us that joy, right? You can't control death. You can't control time. That's huge. Nobody promised us time. Nobody. It can happen. Anything could happen in a split second. And so we need to find joy in the moments that we are given and celebrate them. We can't control the future. How much time do you spend worrying about it? I'm working hard on this myself. I have at my age what I call insomniac theater. I wake up at 2:30 almost every morning, sometime between 2 and 2:30, and my brain's going in a million directions. What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? How's this going to work out? Who do I need to call? What's going to happen? And I play insomniac theater in my mind, and I have to breathe, tell myself, wait a minute. I can't control what's going to happen in the morning. I can't control what's going to happen 2 days from now. But what I can control is letting this go so I can enjoy what my body needs, and that's rest. And it's that mind talk of letting that go, right? You can't control getting ill, and you can't control the past, right? The bottom line is you can't control most of what you are resonating on. We've got to learn to let those go. So in other words, never ruin a good day by thinking about a bad yesterday. Let's say that again. Never ruin a good day by thinking about a bad yesterday. Man, we cannot go back and live in them. We did it. It was done. It happened. But what we can control is how we live in it now and where we're going in the future. And when you really think about that and you anchor your feet on that, you're like, well, holy crap. That little nugget of truth is so true. And wow, that brings me joy in the moment because I can't undo it. No matter how much regret you had in the moment, or if you blew it or not, or somebody else did you wrong, when you learn to let it go, you can enjoy the moment and where you go from there. Here's what we can control: our actions, our attitude, our commitment levels. If you expect commitment from other people, commit the same way. If you have integrity that you want into people in your life that are in your circle, have that same integrity. Use empathy. You don't have to walk in other people's shoes to feel with them. What you do have to do is feel for that person and vocalize that, right? Focus on what you want. Listening. By the way, did you know listening is the number one complaint in marital therapy? The number one complaint. My partner doesn't listen to me. And since we spend more time at work with our coworkers and our bosses, shouldn't we give listening the same equal time, if not more, right? It's a huge element for relationship joy when you know somebody's listening and being heard, right? I use this saying all the time. It's an Asian proverb, but it can also be found in Christian metaphors. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Why do we speak more than we listen? Right? Sometimes when we just quiet and allow ourselves to listen to other people and they feel heard, that brings joy to the relationship. Challenge yourself to learn. Never stop growing, because when we learn, it adds to our wealth and our understanding, and it adds to our creativity, and it makes us feel good. We're never too old to continue to learn, right? Motivate yourself to do something different, a new way, a challenging way, and challenge your mood. I'm going to do something with you that's going to sound really strange. But did you know that if you force yourself to smile, it releases dopamine and serotonin in the brain, which immediately physiologically affects you? So when you force yourself to just smile, right? So take a moment. I can see a lot of you. Stop what you're doing and look in the camera and just smile. Kayla, come on, smile. There you go. Thanks, Kayla. Mark's chewing away on his carrots. I love it. Okay. This awesome thumbs up from Stephanie. Oh, such pretty smiles. The second we do that, we autumn. Don't you feel silly? You're like, oh my God, this is so dumb. She's asking me to smile. But then we start giggling a little bit and our mood lifts a little bit. It immediately releases the serotonin. The reverse also is true, my friends. When we get angry or frustrated and we find ourselves with a furrowed brow or frowning, it decreases our mood and alters the dopamine in our brain. So when we catch ourselves like, holy crap, I'm in the middle of a bad mood, force yourself to smile. It changes your mood. So what do all those things have in common? That's what the R word is. All of these things are in our control. How we choose to respond to things are completely and solely 100% up to us and us alone. Now, Aristotle, a dude that's been gone like 4,000 years, man. He knew this 4,000 years ago. He said this: the energy of the mind is the essence of life. Wow, that's so cool. Our response to things that happen to us, our joy that we give it or lack of joy, comes from our own energy. And that energy of the mind is the essence of life. We will live a more joy-filled life when we give our life meaning, but nobody else can give it that meaning but us. And that guy knew that 4,000 years ago. Now, if you like philosophers, here's a modern day philosopher. Look him up. He's a guy that's like in his late 20s, and he's awesome. Enoch Tan, right? He said this: there are only 2 worlds, the world within us and the world outside of us or without us. But all things relate to each other. So basically what he's saying, so I'm going to mute everybody here really quickly because somebody unmuted themselves. There we go. You could hear their background noise. There we go. Okay. So basically he's saying he wants you to get like the inside of the mind and the outside world. They're all related, man. It's all connected. It's all based on your perspective, and it's your job or your role to bring yourself joy because everything relates together. It's not somebody else's responsibility. Ben Franklin said this: remember the guy that only went to school till he was 10 that invented the bifocals and the lightning rod? Energy and persistence conquers all things. Energy and persistence conquers all things, period. Right? So where do we get our energy? From ourselves. Persistence is what we give ourselves as a gift. Joy, my friends, listen, is an emotion. We choose our own emotions. Now, I use this analogy a lot, but it's going to kind of kick some of you right in the tuchus with a boot because you're going to realize you just said this to somebody recently. Man, you make me so mad. We said that to our kids or our spouse, or we said it behind somebody's back at work. That person makes me so mad. They really don't. We choose to get mad. We choose to be mad. We choose to live in that emotion. You all have had a good day, and a bad thing has happened to you, but you went, man, I don't care. I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm having a good day. I'm going to let it go. And you chose to let it go. But when we're having bad days and that straw is put on the camel's back, that's when we go, man, you make me so mad. But we are choosing that. There's a difference between saying, I'm so mad because you did that. There's a difference. Notice you're owning, I'm so mad because you did that. And then you communicate and dialogue about it. But the bottom line is, if you want to infuse more joy, choose it, because it's an emotion that you choose to bring into your person, right? It's all the power of choice. I love this quote. Intellect is to our emotions as clothes are to our body, right? Emotional intelligence. What kind of emotional intelligence are you giving yourself intrapersonally? What do I deserve to have? Do I deserve to have joys? Hell yeah, I do. I'm a good person. I'm a creative person. I'm a worthy person. I'm a person that has a lot to give myself and other people. And when we own that, that is intellectual and emotional intelligence. But when we live in that cold bath water, when we live in that rut, when we live in not challenging ourselves and persistence, right? We live in that habit of doing the same thing over and over again. And if it's not bringing you joy, we're choosing that negative cycle. By the way, I love that quote, and that quote's old, but it says, intellect is to our emotions as clothes are to our body. Thank God we have clothes for our body, right? Thank God, baby Jesus, right? Because especially right now, we need those with COVID, right? So here's a CJism. It's one of the things that I said years ago. Finding joy in what you do at work adds 5 extra days to your week. Finding joy in what you do at work adds 5 extra days to your week. Man, I love what I do. I don't always like it, but I love what I signed up for. I love being a professor. I love being a motivational speaker. I love being a coach to couples. It doesn't always go easy, and it isn't always without its shares of complications. But the bottom line is I love what I do because I choose to live in the joy of what it brings me. And when I know it's going to outweigh the bad elements, I live in that joy. I've had 25 years of joy and it's gone by so fast. And how did that go by so fast? Because I love it. And if it brings me joy, then it's going to feed my soul. But if it doesn't, question yourself. What am I doing? Am I getting the joy where I need to get it? Or are you afraid to move on and grow because you're in that rut? But you're not going to grow there, and you're not going to find success if you don't find new ways of challenging yourself in your role. So we're going to take some self-empowerment tips here, okay? How we bring joy when we feel exhausted. Make a break and make it count. Remove yourself from the stress, refuel in that moment, and reflect on what you can do different to bring you joy. One stress at a time. I tell my clients sometimes, okay, take a big bowl, take a piece of paper and write all your stressors down on those pieces of paper, and then individually tear them off and put them in the bowl. Man, if you look down at that bowl, my friends, that bowl seems overwhelming. You're like, holy crap, there's like 32 pieces of bowl. I'm going to suffocate in my bowl, right? Well, that's because you're looking at all your stressors at one time and then they deplete your joy, right? Don't look at all your stressors at one time, one at a time, right? I love these quotes. Don't count every hour in the day, make every hour in the day count. And here's my favorite one. We say we waste time, but that is impossible. We waste ourselves. I'm going to say that again. That's such a good quote. We say we waste time, but that is impossible. We waste ourselves. And before we know it, things move quickly. And we're going to say, did I do and get the joy that I wanted to get as a person, intrapersonally, okay? Never measure your day looking down the field, my friends. One step, one success, one obstacle at a time. We know that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Ha, ha, ha. Well, duh. How long did it take Rome to be built? Over 1 million days, because it was rebuilt several times. And the Great Wall of China, just as another example, has taken more than 2,000 years to build because it's been built and added onto throughout the generations many times. But aren't we like that? We are completed in stages. We're not just born and done. We go and grow, right? And so take things in steps, one step at a time. So again, never measure your day looking down the field. One step, one success, one obstacle at a time. Write 3 things down that bring you joy. Now, I know this sounds crazy. I know this to be true for a fact. When people write things down and then say them out loud, they're 3 to 5 times more likely to be successful because there's a link between the physical and the mental worlds. Now, you're not going to believe me when I say this, but I swear to you on the Bible, this has happened to me. When I started visualizing, writing things down and saying them out loud, 2 very important big things happened in my life. And when I look back, I'm like, holy dingleberries, did that really work? I can't believe it worked. Promise you it did. There was 2 good things that I kept visualizing and saying and writing down, and they eventually happened in my life. I'm like, wow, this works because you're connecting the internal to the external and bringing those to fruition, right? Write those things down, say them out loud, and then repeat them. I don't care if you put them on sticky notes and slap them on your mirror. I don't care if you write them on lipstick on the mirror. I don't care if you just text them to yourselves every day. Say them, live them, visualize them, right? Give yourself permission to be joyful. When was the last time you stopped and said, I deserve good things. I'm worth it, right? We don't give ourselves permission to accept joy into our world. What we usually do is give ourselves permission to be miserable. We complain all the time about the things that don't go right or the things that go wrong. We don't balance them out with the things that bring us joy. Give yourself permission to boast about yourself, to boast about your kids. There's a difference between confidence and conceit. Learn to be confident and give yourself permission to be confident, right? Conceit is negative, but it's okay to say, hey, I'm going to take just a moment here to brag on my kids because I'm so proud, right? That brings joy. Give yourself permission. Here's a couple more things before we wrap up today. I've got about 3 or 4 more minutes with you, okay, before we wrap up. Never compare yourself to other people. I know that is so hard, especially with social media. So go back to what I showed you in the very beginning of this seminar. So many of us are on social media. That's why I posted things like I posted yesterday. My real hair, right? It looks like a cat's hairball until I work it. Good girl, right? I don't compare myself to anybody for anybody. And when I gave myself permission to find my success for myself, it was so freeing. Stop trying to be normal. What the hell is normal anyways, right? I don't even think dysfunctional is a good word anymore because I think we're all dysfunctional. And I think that's normal, whatever that means. When you stop trying to be normal, you don't lose yourself anymore. Only compare. People say to me all the time, why do you post what you post on your Instagram? Because I don't care. What is normal? What's normal to me makes me right. So define success for yourself and for you only. And even Helen Keller said, your success and happiness lies within you. So there's an equation here. C plus C equals O. Circumstance plus choices equal opportunity. Let's say that again. Circumstances plus choices equal opportunity. The bottom line is you can't control the circumstances. They're going to happen to you. But what you can control is your choice of how you're going to handle the circumstance. And that creates a world of opportunity for you. So here's something else to think about. Knowledge means nothing. And I work in the Institute of Higher Learning. I sit all the time in meetings with people that have like 3 doctorates and this or that. And even me, I've got a bunch of master's degrees and all this other. I work with stupid. Sometimes the stupid meter is going off the charts. I'm like, how is this person a professor, right? Knowledge doesn't mean a degree. It doesn't mean, I make this much money. It doesn't mean, it means application of what you know. That's a truly knowledgeable person. When you apply what you know, when you live it and do it, that's wise. That's application, because we know all kinds of things, but we don't do it, do we? So a truly wise or smart person applies what they know they need to be true. So ask yourself, what are my opportunities at work right now? How can I capitalize on change and growth? And how do I want to push myself outside of the box to be better wherever I work and for the people around me, but not just for them, for me? Because when you feel good about yourself, you bring it home. And then your spouse feels better about how you feel about yourself. And then your kids feel better about how you're parenting to them because you're happier people. And the dog likes the kids better because he's not picking on it as much, and da-da-da-da-da. It's all a cycle, right? Learning to find those joys. So before we leave today, a couple more things. This young man dropped out of high school because he wanted to get into the Army, except he couldn't get into the Army and they wouldn't. He decided to start a venture, and he started a company called Laugh-O-Gram Studios, except it went bankrupt because he wasn't a successful businessman. So then he went to work for a newspaper, but he was told he wasn't creative enough and he got fired. And then later on in his life, about 30, created this quote. He said, we shouldn't look backwards for very long. We must keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things, because where we're curious, the curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. Well, who was this person? None other than Walt Disney. So we sit there and we look at these big people, but they had the same normal life failures and boundaries and obstacles that we did, but they chose to look at those circumstances with joy. So as we close today, identify what brings you joy. Give yourself permission to be joy-filled. Choose joy as a label that you give to yourself. Actuate on your joy, because this adds intellect to your emotion and that changes your brain's responses to your body. You're feeding the body and the mind at the same time. And to find success only for yourself, not for anybody else. Okay. And as I was writing the seminar, creating the seminar a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I like to write, and I wrote this: you either will or you won't, you do or you don't, you seek or you find, you stall or you grind, you get told or you choose. So resolve yourself to either win or lose. Bottom line, all the joy is in yourself. Joy is power. I've been honored to speak with you today. I would love you to reach out to me anytime. There is my email. You can always contact the phenomenal. I don't know how she did this whole conference the last 2 days with her fabulous staff, Diana, but she also has the information that you can reach out to me. I'd love for you to look me up on Instagram or Facebook, follow me. And I'd love to bring joy into your life through resources, books, authors, coaches. I always love to feed people in any way that allows them to grow. So thank you so much for your time today. I wish you happiness, joy, and blessings. If anybody wants to ask some questions and Diane says there's time, I'm always open to that, or you can reach out to me via email.
Thank you, Cynthia. We really appreciate it. Actually, there's been a lot of really great comments basically thanking you and talking about the subject. I don't know if you have a chance to look at the chat, but you might want to stay on and just kind of review some of the things people were saying, because it's kind of fun just listening to, as you're going along, people are typing messages and talking about what you're saying, and kind of like agreeing or disagreeing, or joining in and kind of laughing out loud and having fun with it. So, and it's probably the most active chat I've seen out of all of the seminars, at least that I've gone to. So I think it's kind of nice. You hit it right on the spot, is everybody needs joy. And with this COVID last year, and we've been in this a year, and I'll tell you what, it's people working from home. In fact, I think there's still quite a few people still working from home. They've not been able to go back to their office yet because of the size of their offices and those kinds of things. So fortunately, we have a smaller staff, so we're able to work in the office, which makes it a little bit easier, because then I don't have to take work home with me, which makes more joy in my life.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll stay on and I'll read the chats, and thank you so much. And again,
All right. Well, thank you.
thank you for having me. I'm honored to have spoken to you all today.
Well, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'm sure there's just going to be some more. Just read the chats, and we'll just continue on, and I'll just mute you. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Oh, there's a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
How do
Well,
you personally create joy consistently?
where's that at?
It's on the thing.
On the chat. If that person wants to reach out to me via email, I'll give them some great resources. Certainly, it is extremely hard to be joy filled all the time. But let me just say this: we create patterns and habits. And when we learn to infuse more habitual patterns of joy filled activities in our life and mindsets, it starts becoming more perpetual than it is not. It's really about patterns and habits versus living in those ruts that I talked about. But I have some specific.
Still have that. So, oh, she needed to stop sharing her screen, but that's okay. We're here. Rashna, are you online?
No. she's
No.
not.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I'll finish up, and then we'll have Jennifer help us. Again, here we go again. But this is very important, guys. We really do need to thank the sponsors, because we wouldn't have had this today. We wouldn't have all your little goodies. The Diamond sponsor, a Bluetooth speaker from Payroll People. Diamond sponsor, the wireless charger from Reliable Business Technology. The Gold sponsor, you got a lanyard from Barthuli and Associates. The Gold sponsor, Hub International, the conference bag. Gold sponsor, One Point, the book from Skip, and in that book there was the 3 blue ink pen marks, and they each won a prize. And gold sponsor, Kaiser, there was a notebook. And silver sponsor, Core HR Team, the photo booth. I hope everybody enjoyed that and was able to attend that. Silver sponsor, Klein Dinatelli Goldner, a water bottle. It's a little collapsible one that you can hook on your backpack or your purse or anything like that, and you can take water with wherever you go. Community care, the passport. The passport was the one that where you go into everybody's booth and you got a check mark for visiting and saying hi or glad you're here or just said a few words or looked at a video. And then we'll talk about the prizes in a minute. I do want to thank the keynote and breakout speakers who presented today. It, let's see, is that right? Yeah, that's right. Who presented today, and everybody that presented yesterday. We are ending the session soon. We'll announce the winners and then we'll be done. We'll probably done in a few by 4:15. That's what our time frame was. I want to thank the conference committee for making this event happen. Myself, a conference chair, and I was the 2020 board president this year and past president. Nune Kaboyan, committee marketing chair, and she is a board member. Melissa Singh, registration co-chair and a board member. Macy Blytle, registrations co-chair and board member. Jennifer Tierce, games and fun committee chair and board member. Brenda Pena, committee member and co-chair for marketing. And Diana Duvetter for speakers, sponsors, exhibitors, HUVA committee chair. Tim Comboy for technology and media committee chair. Have you noticed that Diana had a lot of jobs in there? We put her to work and she did a really excellent job. I give her kudos for doing all this effort, working full time for the last 4 months on this conference. It's not a small feat to get everybody for the speakers, getting everything coordinated and put together, and then having to deal with me on top of that. So, but anyways, Jennifer, I wanted to invite you on. Are you there? And oh, Rasha, did you want to say a few words? I see you're on here. I don't know if she's
not live.
okay. So where are we at, Jennifer? Where are you at?
There she is.
Oh, good, Jennifer.
I'm
Okay.
here.
All right. So before you get started, we're going to talk about the games and we're going to talk about the winners of all of that. But I do want to say something prior to that. All the exhibitor booths that had raffle prizes, the exhibitors are responsible for contacting you and getting you your gift somehow. Either you picking it up or they're putting it in the mail to you or they're sending it by Evite or e-send or whatever through the mail. Amazon card or whatever they did. So if we contact you, and ours was Reliable Business Technology, we do have a winner pulled on that one, but we'll put it on our Facebook page, and I don't know if it'll be on our website, just be our Facebook page, and we'll send Diana Kano a gift in the mail and let her know that she's our winner. So, for the exhibitor prize, yay! You won our little plaque. Anyway, so Jennifer, go ahead and you can start your games.
Okay, so I have gone ahead and closed out all of our games. So the first one is the leaderboard contest. Our winner is, I'm so sorry if I say anybody's name wrong, Katina Mamagonian, sorry. Tracy Pedro is in second and Diana Kano is in third. So there are gift cards for all of those. So I will reach out to you probably tomorrow, or at least starting tomorrow, and we can work out how to get those gift cards to you virtually. The second contest is the photo contest. There was one prize for best event photo and one for best HR meme. And this was based on likes by other attendees. So the winner for best event photo is Amy Zhang. She posted a picture of her in her mask and her book from Skip Wiseman and attending the conference all at the same time. And then our best HR meme, I put one in there, but I don't count, of course, but mine did pretty well. The winner for that was Elizabeth Cortez, the meme or quote, HR, the unofficial psychologist, event planner, peacemaker, lawyer, and teacher. And so I will reach out to both of you as well for your gift card. And finally, for the caption contest, our winner is, let me see here. You know what? We only had one.
It should be, isn't it Stephanie?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was looking in the wrong place. The winner for the caption is Stephanie Neal.
Diversity and inclusion in the workplace.
Oh, yes. Her phrase was diversity and inclusion in the workplace. It was posted by an attendee who put a picture of her with her dog watching the conference. And you can view all of those photos still. So you can go and check those out. Thank you.
Okay, so the other prizes that we have, I believe we had another, didn't we have we had one other prize. I can't think of what it was, but I'll have to go back and look. But I have the 4 winners for the scholarship for the specialty credentials. So you want to hear who they are?
Yes.
We have Marissa Rodriguez from EMV, HR manager. I don't know if she's still on here, but that's the credential. She could pick her credential. There's no cash value, and if they decide they don't want it, and if whoever's on this, they decide they don't want it, they can pass it on to someone else so that they can use the benefit. Christopher Navarro from Granville Homes, Human Resources. And the next winner is Berta Mims from Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District. And our 4th winner is Melanie Brannard from JLL. She's still on? Yeah, she put yay. She doesn't have a capture, or I don't think she has a camera. Anyway, those are our winners. We have, I thought we had a winner for a bigger gift. Oh, it's our big prize.
We have the passport contest, correct?
Yeah, we have the passport. So do we have the answers on any of that stuff? Who won the passports? Do we do a drawing?
Who wants the passport?
You didn't do it. It's okay. We can do it. We can just announce it on the Facebook or send a note to the person. And then when we send an announcement out, because I think we're going to have to go back and see if everybody hit the passports. And the only people that are eligible for the massage gift certificate, I believe, is that what it was? I'm pretty sure, is if they went to every booth and visited them. And then out of all those people, then they would get, we'll pull a name from that. So you'd have to visit every exhibit. So hopefully you did, and then you'll get in the drawing. And I think that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any comments or questions or anything like that? No?
No, this was great. Thank you. And I think it went a lot smoother than yesterday. Not as many tech difficulties, but it looks like everybody was pretty patient. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's always so hard doing a conference, and it's the first time we've ever done anything like this. So if we were doing it next year, of course, it'd be better, and then the next year even more better, much better. But hopefully we're in person next year, so we won't have this issue. But which comes to next year, if anybody's interested in getting on the committee, make sure they join and let us know when we get back to lunches and stuff like that. One of the things you want to make sure, and this might be something that we think about when we do the conference next year, is maybe we will have some virtual conferences for those people that are either out of state or out of town or are on the way, like Ron Torres is heading back to wherever he's going or getting off work. I see him in his car. Hi, Ron. So we just have to you know, that might be something that we might want to do, or record them and sell the classes. But want to thank everybody. It was a great conference, and of course, fill out your surveys for each conference that you went to. We appreciate your feedback, and we'll get in touch with everybody to let them know who won the passport prize. Okay, thank you.
Nothing early, thank you.
I don't want to sign off yet until.
Thank you. Great job.
Thanks, Ron. Good to see you.
See you. Yeah, it's good to see you. See you
Thanks,
later.
Tom. I see you too. Are you heading home? Bye.
Yeah, I just got back from a dentist appointment. I had to miss part of Cynthia's presentation, but it was a quick appointment.
Well, we recorded it, so you can have a copy of it.
Okay,
Okay.
great. All right,
Thank
Rhonda.
you.
See you
All
later.
right.
Thanks.
Bye, Mark. Bye,
Bye.
Jennifer. Bye, Nene. Bye, Stephanie. Bye, Brenda. Bye,
Bye,
Dennis.
guys.
Asha. Bye.
Bye.